Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the May meeting of Murrumbidgee Council. In the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government, and to ensure this meeting is open to the public, this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the Murrumbidgee Council Facebook page. A recording will also be placed on Council's website following the meeting. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd just like to call for any apologies, please.
We received from Councillor Saxvik and Councillor Strong to the apologies, Councillor.
Somebody like to move that those apologies be accepted. Move Councillor Turfey, secondly Councillor Gilbert. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Move to the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the 26th of April 2022. Somebody like to move that these minutes are a true and accurate record. Moved Councillor Turfey, secondly Councillor Turfey. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. I remind you all of the disclosures of interest declarations. I have some here in front of me. Are there any further declarations to be made? Not? We'll move on. Any notices of rescission? No? No notices of motion? We'll move to the mayoral report. And I apologise for the thank you. The lateness of this report. But it's been a pretty busy month, as you can see. We've had lots of meetings and lots of interaction with people championing or advocating on our behalf. As you know, as I said, as I wrote the report, we've had almost a perfect start to our cropping program. The autumn weather's been really good, and the country actually looks amazing. With some forecast showers coming, we should be well on track. We're experiencing a resurgence of COVID in all of our communities, which is proving quite disruptive to business, sporting enterprises, education, staffing our health facilities, and just about every part of our daily life. And you know, we as communities need to be responsible for ourselves. So to encourage people not to take their foot off the pedal, to continue their vaccination program, to be very mindful of the basic health messaging or public health messaging, and to be vigilant. And if you're sick, stay at home. It's a pretty simple message, really. Our council area has had the opportunity to be engaged in 2 art exhibitions. These opportunities are afforded to Murrumbidgee Council through our membership with Western Riverina Arts and in collaboration with Western Riverina Arts and other stakeholders, like the local land services. The first one was the Rescue of the Riverina Native Birds exhibition, featuring the Plains Wanderer, the Bittern and the mallee fowl, and this one is currently being exhibited in the Willows in Powell Street in Jerilderie. And then moves to Griffith and Narandra, I think. And the second one is the Her Story exhibition created by Jerilderie artist Rosalind Lockhart, which is exhibited in the Leeton Art Gallery, which is a really an amazing piece of art work which Rosalind has done. She's very, very gifted. So if any of you get the opportunity to have a look at these art exhibitions, they're well worth looking at. Council has concluded its business barbecues. The final one was conducted in Collinghambley. The initiative rolled out by council management and supported by council had mixed attendance numbers. It is hoped that this will have greater uptake the next time we undertake it. Health issues, as always, are a complex and slow-moving conundrum. In the last 4 weeks, I've had many briefings and updates from the Murrumbidgee Local Health District. The staffing crisis is at critical level, and the further west you reside, the greater the challenge. We're aware of many initiatives in place to try to attract staff. We're assured the numbers are being trained, but that does not equate to people in the jobs on the ground. So there's a disconnect somewhere, and we're assured by the bureaucrats in the local health district that they're addressing it, but it's not actually addressing the critical shortage. I attended a health forum in Griffith convened by Helen Dalton, which had approximately 60 people in attendance. It included the New South Wales Health Minister and did include the Opposition Health Minister, a general practitioner and others. Positive messaging and confidence that the areas of concern are being realistically addressed was not evident in this forum. And I attended the Clinical Services Planning public meeting in Finley that was seeking input to this new plan that will inform the capital building for $25 million redevelopment of the Finley Hospital. The Enco Creek Modernisation Project had its 18th meeting in Murrumbidgee. This project, while sound, is slow-moving and frustrating. It is top-heavy with bureaucratic stakeholders and moves at a snail's pace. With a deadline of June 2024 looming and a change of federal government the next month is certainly going to be extremely challenging. I had the pleasure of attending the Region 29 Link Cross Conference in Murrumbidgee, which is such a valuable organisation, but like every other volunteer organisation, struggling to get people to be part of their very valuable group. I also attended a CWA 100-year anniversary celebration hosted by the Colleen Argoon CWA branch. It was a high tea. It was a really quite a momentous occasion, and two of their members, Margaret Shepherd and Beverly Rose Wiseman, received thoroughly deserved 50-year service recognition pins, which is an outstanding achievement. I attended the Deb Moore and Collie Embley on the 14th of May, and to lots of people out there, the Deb Moore tradition is passé, but it's very much part of rural communities, and these kids had a great time, and the effort invested by Helen Kelly and Darcy Mader is very commendable. Our major projects continue to progress, slowly at times, but as I report most months, I'm hopeful and confident that we're nearing completion. The General Manager and I attended a Ramjo board and dinner and meeting in Griffith on the 12th and 13th of May, and the timely presentation about the difficulties experienced with the planning approval process in the portal shone a glaring light on a state-developed process that is cumbersome and frustrating and time inefficient. The larger councils particularly are struggling. Those with major developments are seriously under the pump. Warm welcome to our new staff members. I won't individualise as we have many new faces. We hope your time with Murrumbidgee Council is happy and rewarding. And below is a list of meetings that I've attended in May. Are there any questions? If not, somebody like to move the case. Councillor Bryce, Secretary Councillor Major. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Okay, item 1, please.
Thank you, Councillor Craig. First on the agenda is the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. As Council will be well aware that for the March following the general election, the ARIC committee is stood down and we seek members for a new committee. We've gone out we've received multiple applications. The Mayor and myself put forward the recommendation of Lyndon Craig, spelled M-A-C-R-A-E, just for everybody's notice, to be the Audit Committee Chair, and we've picked another independent member. In accordance with the guidelines that were being developed by the Office of Local Government, they've recommended remuneration for chairs and members of our size. The chair would be $12,552 per annum, and an independent member gets $1,255 a day. Also attached to my report is the community engagement strategy. We've gone out, we've consulted with the public and staff and yourself as well, and we're seeking endorsement of that council endorsed community engagement strategy. One thing that we've spoken about a number of times that come across our in reports, probably 3 or 4 reports over the past couple of years, is our curbside collection in the 3 towns being Collyambly, Darlington Point and Jerilderie. As everybody is aware, Collyambly and Darlington Point has two streams, recycling and general waste. Jerilderie only has general waste stream, and that also the mandatory regulatory requirement by 2030, I think it is, that we need to incorporate the FOGO, which is food organics and garden organics, from the curbside collection. So yes, 2030 is a number of years away, but it seems to be that it's in these early years when most of the grants are available for councils to take the bull by the horns, get these grants and implement these services as early as we can. We can wait until 2030 for a lot of things, but we'll be paying 100% for absolutely everything. So we've spoken about it a couple of times. We've had a couple of runs in newsletters to get feedback from community. We've had no negative feedback. We've only received positive feedback, in particular of recycling in Jerilderie. It came up a number of times in our community strategic planning, the need for recycling and to move down these sort of angles. So what I'm proposing here is to council to implement this come July 1, 2023. So that gives us a full 12 months to take advantage of any opportunistic grant funding that's coming forward to pay for some of the capital costs, do further information and education with residents and ratepayers about what the system would look like, how it would run, order a new garbage truck, which, as if anybody's ordering any equipment, you know it's going to be 9 months to 12 months before it turns up anyway. So we need that 12 months. But in saying all of that, so the fees and charges that are proposed in the operational plan, and the fees and charges will be for this financial year, but not reflective of the prices that are in here. They won't be effective until July 2023, unless for some reason there is an ability and a willingness to bring it forward. We can go part years in relation to that. So the recommendations is to move forward with the matching to be able to start that process for the next 12 months and have it implemented in 12 months' time. Item number 4 is just a request of council for myself to privately use the motor vehicle in Queensland. At time of writing this report, I was told that the events are happening on the weekend of the 2nd of July. Because of all the rain and the flooding that they've experienced up there, they've pushed that back for a week, I do believe. So the actual dates that I'd be requesting to go would be the weekend that's got the 6th to the 11th of July in there to use the motor vehicle. They've had a lot of rain around Ipswich and the valley there, most recent times, and thoughts out to Lismore again, because I do believe they're getting more water as well. Workplace surveillance policy review. Brought this forward, workshop with council, sent it out to the unions, workshopped it with the consultative committee and the staff. Every staff member's had the policy for a couple of months. The review period closed on the 11th of May. Had those conversations. We got some very good feedback from unions in particular surrounding relationship to the Act. So we've included those bits and pieces into there to make sure that it's fully understood. Other questions about the privacy information, particularly for any staff member that's got private use of the vehicle. The system that's in place in those vehicles virtually asks as soon as you start up, is this work or is it private? So the staff member doesn't get recorded if they press that it's the private use of the vehicle, so we have no ability for that. The other questions is about who can actually review any of the data. So apart from the CFO, the Director of Infrastructure, Director of Planning, Community and Development and myself, we can access all of the information, but the finance team can access the information that's required for such things as fuel tax rebates, fringe benefits tax, or any of those other things that come through there. The system that we chose is actually the same system the tax office uses for their own fleet for FBT purposes. So they're very confident in that, and I'm hoping that with this system that we will see increases in our fuel tax rebate, because this will be real-time information, not really good estimates. This will be perfect estimates moving forward in relation to that. Then probably the only big thing that's happening is ALGA in Canberra on the 19th to the 23rd of June, followed by a few other meetings. So,
Okay, somebody like to move the General Manager's report, please. With Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Major. Any questions of John, please? If not,
sorry, just one question on the surveillance and the surveillance policy with the vehicle monitoring system.
Yep.
So, if a person's at work and it starts up and he can press it onto private use, can he?
Only those vehicles that have got private use. So not the grader, not the dump truck, not the whatever, because it's all.
So I can't put my vehicle into private use and go fishing.
No.
Okay, good.
Okay, Councillor Kirky.
Question, just checking a few things with our recycling. We do have our basic, the FOGO weekly 240 or 360 litre bin. The current bin we have at the moment is a 240.
For general waste, yes.
Yeah, for 240.
And for recycling is 240.
240, yeah. Only going forward with that, when we get into more detail about it, I think having the common same size bin may be an advantage going forward, meaning if we change the bin, we just need to change the bin colour, the lid colour, which might make our life a lot easier. So
yeah, but in relation to the recycling bins we've got, they're owned by Richards. That's theirs, and the green waste bin are ours. So if we keep the general waste bin, which I'm recommending is the 120 to the 240, we can leave it at the 240. But the new bins we have to buy will be the FOGO and the recycling bins. So the recommendation is either 240 minimum, 360 the larger ones. It's amazing. 360 seems a big bin, but you can fill them full of recycling and through garden and organic waste quite easily.
Well, I'm just thinking of the elderly handling a 360 bin.
Well, we get them probably on one. Yeah, we're giving them the option.
Okay, so they can drop the
options. Right. So we're going to have the default. If they don't come back and replace the smaller bins or the different bins, then they'll get those.
Yeah, and only the concern of moving from general waste from weekly to fortnightly is a new thing for our community. We just need to analyse that and make sure we're still moving in the right direction. I'd hate to see us have a fortnightly and have bins overflowing and causing issues with our community.
Well, that's the whole idea of going for 3 bins is you don't put anything in your waste.
The FOGO,
the general.
The FOGO should cover that though.
Yeah, it's all new, and so.
Yeah, and this 12 months Gary will use it well for the education to be able to get out there. And just it's simple is that I've always in other places we've brought this in. They say, oh, me garbage bin will be smelling at the end of 2 weeks. You don't put anything that smells in your garbage bin. It probably goes into your FOGO bin, right? So if your garbage bin is smelling, there's something wrong. You're putting the wrong stuff in there.
Dirty nappies.
Yeah. Well, that's something that we always have to look out for.
All right, something to keep an eye on, and it's just a challenge of the new world.
Yeah.
John, through the chair, for the FOGO bins, the small bags that you collect your waste for in your household, councils generally supply those or not?
So and that's what we're looking at is part of the suite of the bins that we'll buy will be a little kitchen tote, is what normally gives it off, and then those compostable bags to go inside those. So Albury's been doing it, all of those wonderful sorts of things. So we're reaching out to them to find out who supplies those green bags. We know who does now, and how many do they give each year to everybody.
So that's how it happens. You just
so
get
we
a
those
supply
pricing
each year.
So we put all of those things in and we give them all out. So at least that it's the the kitchen waste that gets put into that little bag that goes into that bin, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no big liners or anything else like that. I don't think that's necessary. If we can put the unused sausage and the chop and the potato peel in that little bag and put it in, it should be fine. And just the leaves and the grass and the twigs and whatever.
Okay, any further questions? If not, then the recommendation will read that the contents of the General Manager's monthly report be noted and Council, 1, A, approve the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee remuneration for the Chair at $12,552 per annum and the independent members $1,255 fee per meeting. B, appoint Linda McRae, spelled M-A-C, capital R-A-E, as Chair of the Murrumbidgee Council's Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. 2, endorse a community engagement strategy. 3, A, implement the 3-stream curbside collection, FOGO, general waste and recycling in each of the towns of Collyambley, Darlington Point and Murrumbidgee, commencing 1 July 2023. B, authorise the General Manager to apply for opportunistic grant funding to alleviate capital costs of implementing the wheeled bins and, if required, Council to provide up to 50% of the costs for matching grants. C, authorise the General Manager to seek input from residents on the size of the 3 bins, with the default sizing being FOGO 360 litre, general waste 240 litre and recycling 360 litre. 4, authorise the General Manager's private use of the Council vehicle in the State of Queensland from 6 July 2022 to 11 July 2022. And 5, adopt the reviewed workplace surveillance policy which addresses the feedback provided. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 2, please.
Over to
Thank you. Madam Mayor, Council is aware we received an offer of approximately $119,826 through the New South Wales Government Reconnecting Regional New South Wales grant scheme for one-off contribution to community events. When we received it, we went out to public notification. And as a result of that, 13 grant applications were received. Upon review of those grant applications, 11 of them were found to be worthy of consideration by Council. Council, as suggested by staff, has decided or wishes to contribute an equal amount to 3 towns. Murrumbidgee Council, Darlington, and Murrumbidgee, and as a result, the recommendation shows a number of grant applications and funding that has been suggested to be applied to those applications.
Okay, is there any commentary around this? I'm thinking that the Eden Hercus on behalf of Council for the 100-year anniversary of the Senator / Sir John,
recommendations off there, Councillor Bank, sorry.
Sir John Monash annual ovation. It's a dual, and John Monash didn't. Yeah, thank you. Everybody please read this thoroughly to make sure we have it right.
You'll read out.
Right.
You'll read out the rest
Okay.
of the recommendation.
Okay.
Once you get a move and second for all of those.
That's a surprising amount to Hayes Collyambley.
Yep. We only had 2 applicants.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to move that.
Okay, would somebody like to move? Move Councillor Murphy, seconded Councillor Churgman. And the recommendation will read. council make application for the amount of $119,826 under the New South Wales Government Reconnecting Regional New South Wales - Community Events Program, and B, determine funding recipients as listed below. In Murrumbidgee, the Murrumbidgee Australia Day Committee $10,000, St Joseph's P&F Murrumbidgee Fund Fair $6,350, Murrumbidgee United Chamber of Commerce $1,034, Murrumbidgee District Race Club Murrumbidgee Gold Cup Races $7,500, Eden Hercus on behalf of Council, the 100-year anniversary of the Cenotaph and the Sir John Monash Dinner and Oration $15,000. In Colliambly, Kate Warren on behalf of Council, the Murrumbidgee Arts Acquisition Prize $7,000, St Peter's Primary School Reconnect $3,000, and Taste Colliambly Food and Farm Festival $30,000. Darlington Point, the Darlington Point Business Connect Christmas Markets $4,000, River and a Redneck Rally Pig Day Out $30,942, and the Darlington Point River and a Classic Catch and Release Fishing Competition $5,000. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Okay, item 3, please.
I'll accept that. Councillor
Oh, Councillor Kirky. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, council received development for the construction of 5 single-storey, 2-bedroom dwellings at 34 Hay Road, Darlington. The application is publicly exhibited in accordance with council policy, and as such received one submission. The person lodging that submission had a chance to address council at today's workshop, chose not to. The recommendation is that the application be approved subject to conditions and be delegated to the Director of Planning and Community Development for issue notice of determination.
Okay. Somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Kirky, seconded Councillor Gilbert. Are there any questions of Gary, please, regarding this item?
I apologise for not being here earlier.
Sorry, Julie.
Did you say Councillor Kirby?
Yeah.
No, she meant third one because I'm.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at Christine. Sorry, Christine.
No, I knew what you meant.
Councillor Cherburn. Seconded Councillor Gilbert. Okay. Are there any questions of Gary, please?
Yep, I'll just
Yes,
have
Councillor Price.
one through Madam Mayor. Part of the financial cost to council, is that relieved through the recommendation that won't happen?
Through Madam Mayor, that's correct. Yes.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Price? Yes. Are there any further questions, please? If not, I'll put the recommendation that reads that Murrumbidgee Council is a consent authority pursuant to section 4.16(3) of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979. Grant deferred commencement consent to development application number DA 8/2022 for a multi-dwelling residential development on part of lot 242 DP 750908 34 Hay Road, Darlington Point, subject to the conditions including those set out in attachment 4. And B, the development application be delegated to the Director of Planning, Community and Development for the issue of the notice of determination. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 4, please. Oh, I have it here. Yes, it was. Now, do we have to state?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yes.
Division.
Yes.
All the councillors show of hands.
Yes, yes. So everybody, yes.
You're going to go outside again. Get that back down again.
Sorry, we're just trying to get the correct process in place. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Okay, those against?
Well, you come back in again now.
Carried. Okay. Item 4, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This application seeks council consideration and approval for the erection of 142 cross vans at Huddersfield Almond Plantation Skirt Highway, South Point, and their operation. This application was considered and discussed at a workshop briefing this morning, at which the proponent and some of the objectors were present. And the report recommends that the now be approved by council, subject to conditions, and that the development application be delegated to the Director of Planning and Community Development to issue notice of determination. Following this morning's meeting, where the proponent volunteered to include a noise management plan, so I would seek council's leave to add that to the conditions of consent that's outlined in attachment 5. That plan of that noise control management plan is not included in that list of conditions of consent. But following this morning's meeting where they actually volunteered it, I think that would be a very good idea, a very good addition to that consent. So that will be
to Part A, Gary, or
to Part A.
Yep.
It'll be attachment 5, which consent attached to the report will include a further condition addressing the management of noise. If I could.
with the inclusion of item.
With the inclusion within the conditions of consent. Further condition. Requires the developer to manage noise in an appropriate manner. So that wording will be fine-tuned to include in that conditions, those conditions.
Okay. Would somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Bryce. Are there any further questions of Gary?
Just from the discussions we had earlier today, that I would like to see there is, through that noise report that will come forward, that there's no adverse effect on any ratepayer going forward. So I'm sure that the noise issue that we've got there and the conditions that have been put in will satisfy that. So as long as that is satisfied, there's no detrimental effect to our ratepayers, I'll be satisfied with that.
Through you, Madam Mayor. The conditions of consent have been drafted in accordance with the current legislative requirements. Murrumbidgee Council does not have a policy per se in relation to frost fans, but frequently do have policies which the EPA, New South Wales EPA, has adopted in an informal manner as the standard for frost fan approvals. Now, what that basically says is within a kilometre of the boundary of the property, minimum noise requirements set for residential zones inside of dwellings 25 dBA and outside a bedroom of a window in a residential area it's 45. Now, the consultants today have confirmed that when they did their acoustic study, they were able to comply with that. And they were able to comply with that by removing a number of fans within the plantation that they felt could not meet that. So they took out a dozen or so fans, I think it was. 16 fans that didn't meet those noise standards. So that's the standard that the fans have been approved under. Now, whether or not that creates noise issues going forward, I can't say. However, there is provisions in the consent that, first of all, the operators of the fans have to do a noise management strategy plan, which will involve texting or contacting adjoining property owners of likelihood of frosts, so that they're forewarned. And also, the condition in there is quite strongly worded condition in there that if complaints continue and can't be resolved by communication, the Huddersfield will need to undertake further work. Now that could include a range of things. The frost fans include a mixture of 2 and 3 bladed fans. The current technology now involves 5 bladed fans, which means that they revolve much slower and there's much less noise. That's an option. Second option is that they can undertake noise attenuation work on the dwellings, double glazed windows, insulation, things like that. So there is in there protocols that will help protect our surrounding landowners and residents. But I can't say hand on heart that they will not hear them and they will not be upset about the noise level. But given that the Surf Highway is quite close, and the fact that the fans probably won't be operating for more than at any one time, probably 2 to 3 months, it's going to mitigate the noise impact.
Thank you.
So you would think, Gary, that placing the less noisiest fans closest to the dwellings, or it won't make a difference?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Three bladed ones are closest to the dwellings, and the 2 bladed ones, which are the noisiest ones, are further away.
Mm.
I do like the fact that they're going to do it in stages, and then after stage 1, they will have an assessment of the noise level. So I think they've done everything they can.
Yes. Through you, Madam Mayor, again, that will be included. We'll make sure that's included in the noise management plan, which I haven't quite, we haven't done the wording on that yet, but we will include a condition in there that they will need to do that work.
Excellent.
Okay, are there any further questions of Gary? If not, do we have a mover? Would somebody like to move?
What have you done, mate?
Oh, just sorry, wasn't it? So, move Councillor Blake, seconded Councillor Bryce. And the recommendation will read, the Murrumbidgee Council as a consent authority pursuant to section 4.16, bracket 1, bracket A, of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979, grant consent to development application number DA 16-2022 for the installation of 142 frost fans on lots 20 to 25, 126 to 128, 143 to 145, 172 and 174 to 175, DP 750908, Lot 1, DP 873401, and Lot 3, DP 1156 Huddersfield, 1157 Sturt Highway, Darlington Point, subject to the conditions as set out in Attachment 5, with an additional condition of consent requiring the developer to manage noise in an appropriate manner. B, that the development application be delegated to the Director of Planning, Community and Development for issue of the notice of determination. Okay. Okay, so I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please raise your hands. Those against? Declare that carried.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Go.
Okay, thank you. Item 5, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report deals with the adoption of the Murrumbidgee Council Community Strategic Plan. It sets out the Council's main priorities and strategic objectives of the community strategies that will be to achieve those objectives. This is workshop at a little while ago. It's been a public exhibition. There were no submissions received. It's been refined by our Media and Communications Manager. So the version that's been presented today is the updated version. And the recommendation is that Council now adopt Murrumbidgee Council Community Strategic Plan 2022-2032.
Okay, somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Majors, second Councillor Turvin. Are there any questions of John, please? Okay. Or anybody? Anybody like to answer any questions? Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll put the recommendation that Council adopt the Murrumbidgee Council Community Strategic Plan 2022 to 2032. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 6, please.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, this report deals with the acceptance of the draft the delivery program for the next 4 years, 2022 to 2026. It's part of the Community Strategic Plan and the Council IPMR reporting requirements. This draft plan delivery program is based on the CSP the Council has just adopted. Given the short time frame between the closure of the CSP and meeting, this draft delivery program has been amended to fit in with the new CSP. Now, the purpose of this is in order for us to publicly exhibit it for a minimum of 20 days and return it to Council in time to be adopted in its final version by 1 July year. It's very much a document that outlines Council's actions to meet the objectives and strategies in the Community Strategic Plan, and we intend to also include financial details in it when it's brought back in June for adoption.
Okay. Would somebody like to move, please? Councillor Bright, seconded Councillor Major. Are there any questions of
Just one question. We review this annually to make sure that we're still on track. 6 months.
That's for you, Madam Mayor. You've also, it's a minimum of 6 months. We can go quarterly. We're also introducing a software program which I've used at other councils, which allows staff to review it a lot easier, and the reports coming back to council much more relevant and easy to understand as well. So once that gets up and running in council and staff get used to using it, we can perhaps then go to a 3-month reporting process.
That would be really valuable, I think. Are there any further comments or questions?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate just the same. I think it'll be valuable and keep us accountable and on track. I think so. It'll be particularly if we can get a more up-to-date reporting system. It'll be excellent.
Okay, if there's no further comments or questions, I'll put the recommendation that will read the draft Murrumbidgee Council Delivery Program 2022 to 2026 be endorsed and placed on public exhibition for a period of 28 days before reconsidering for final adoption at the 28th of June 2022 Council meeting. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 7, please.
Thank you.
Councillors, I present the draft operational plan for 22-23. Had several workshops. Staff have workshop also. What is on offer at the present time, that Council's draft operational plan allows for a general fund rate increase of 2.5% overall, subject of course to acceptance of the additional special rate variation that Council has applied for. The 4-year rate harmonisation will continue under this program. Affects substantially the farmland sector, and considerable community consultation was undertaken with that process in the previous financial year. From the point of view of water access charges, it's anticipated that an increase of 5% for Jewellery Council residents. Darlington Point and Coley Amberley residents will see an increase of 5% for the 20 mil metres, and increases of between 5 and 15 for those business owners with larger capacity metres. Sewer access charges will be increased by 7% across the area. This fund has to be self-funding, so that helps us meet that ideal in the end. And increases of 3% on the sewer discharge fees for businesses. Water usage charges on top of the general access charges will increase by approximately 5% across the area. There is a provision to continue and operational hours for the swimming pools, and Council has also determined at this stage for the ensuing financial year that entry will remain free. We continue to provide for community grants and education scholarships. Garbage and recycling fees will be required to increase by 5% across the council area in this financial year, excluding, of course, the provisions for future changes. Also indicates that council's operational expenditure will be 13 million and a further $6 million for depreciation expenses. Operational income is anticipated at 17 million with a further 9 million of capital grants anticipated. Council, I present the draft operational plan and that it be placed on public exhibition until the 21st of June 2022 with any submissions up until the Monday before the council meeting in June. Take any questions.
Councillor Mason?
Vicky, can you just clarify the budgeted amount for the caravan park, the Darlington Point? We've got 3 million, then we've got 4.35. Can you just...
The 3 million, it's approximately 3 million in the ensuing financial year, with further works over the next two, subject to receiving grants and loan funding.
So, Councillor Major, the last line there's about $3 million loan for the caravan park and $1.5 million loan for the Young Street subdivision.
Young Street subdivision.
Okay.
4.5, whatever the...
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's...
Sorry, so it's
that's all. Yeah.
1.5 is the loan amount.
The Young Street.
Young Street.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll only spend if we get grants.
In respect to the caravan park.
The caravan park, because we've got the other one.
Yeah.
Young Street.
Young Street.
Are there any further comments or questions, please?
Yeah.
Councillor Major?
Yeah, just in the risk management, so what's the ramifications or and then I want to try and understand where we haven't met the two ratios.
Okay.
And, yes,
the operating...
What can we do about it?
Well, if you can find own source income, own source revenue, and we're continually trying to do that. We have a very small number of residents from which to gain that sort of income that we would need. How we get there? It's really quite difficult. Yes, increase our ability to do private works for transport for New South Wales. And we've looked at some other factors, including doing our own contract type work, so reducing that expense. It's not indicated in there. We're not sure that what the outcome will be in terms of the operating performance ratio. It's a bit hard because for us to continue to operate, we need the grants, but the grants are actually excluded from that operating ratio. So it's a double-edged sword, so to speak.
Even the caravan park is an example where we need the grants to get it up to scratch to make the money to put into own source revenue.
Yeah. So obviously that is one solution, I guess, and then by the time it gets up and going, and then we'll need more and more revenue to still meet the ratio, I guess. But, so what's the ramifications, I guess? Is there any immediate ones or that we should be...
Amalgamation.
Amalgamation.
Troy, for your reference, this, in my opinion, diluted figure, the 60%, was one of the Fit for the Future benchmarks designed to make people fail. So the government achieved their desired outcome.
It's easy for the big city councils to do it, but in rural councils, it's almost impossible.
So I guess another way of looking at it is how much does this differ from other years, or is this about where we're... I guess that's all we can benchmark.
Look, it's fairly stable. It's been fairly stable since our amalgamation, about the same. With the proposed increase in caravan park fees, if that went ahead, certainly that improves into the long term and get closer to those requirements, but not until the 10 years on the current projections.
Our risk strategy workshop we did recently identified that we are a council whose head is in the right space, and that we do have an appetite for assuming some risk to achieve the outcomes which are put before us. And the very clear message is to be able to be in that playing space, we need to spend money to make money.
Yep.
So I think if the people sitting at the table are comfortable with the initiatives put before us, which are thought out and workshopped, we can make some gains into that amount. But to think that we would be able to get close to 60 is delusional. But as long as we are stable and making small increments towards that, I think Council's doing a very admirable job. Okay, any further questions or comments? No? Or would somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Curfew, second Councillor Churdwin. And the recommendation will read, the Council endorses the draft operational plan of 2022 to 2023, and 2, the plan be placed on public exhibition for the period of 24th of May to the 21st of June 2022. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. All those against, carried. Thank you. Item 8, please.
Councillors, I present the quarterly budget review for the period ended 31st of March. Included within that summary and the attachments are the requirements under the Code of Accounting Practice and financial reporting requirements. The statement of financial performance indicates a surplus from ordinary activities of 8.5 million after variances, compared to the previous 13.9. Now we have excluded a number of grants from that proposal, and after the exclusion of capital grants, we still have showing a surplus of approximately $1 million. And noted there are some variations to expenditure and income. You can see those on the attachment, items numbered 1 to 40 on page 27, 29 of the attachment there. Forecast statement of cash flows for the general fund indicates a decrease of cash held of 590,000, a small improvement from the previous budget review. Again, those items, individual items, are listed for you to view on the attachment. The sewer fund cash flow indicates funds held of 179,481, a small decrease, some $2,000, resulting from some sewer dump points that we put in at Colliambley. The water fund cash flow is an increase of funds due substantially to the deferral of the internal coating of the water tank at Darlington Point, which is not going to happen before the end of the year. Within that attachment are a number of jobs that I did refer to in some workshop discussions earlier today that have actually, whilst they've been deferred from the current financial year, they have been placed within the document for the long term, or the operational plan to be undertaken next year. So a number of roads which were funded by grants, projects that we're not going to complete by the end of the financial year. Also the streets as dead spaces, a significant amount of that. And the amenities building at Carrington Street, which is the local roads community infrastructure program, that's not going to be complete by the end of this financial year. So we've actually been able to place them in the operational plan already. The other variances are as listed there.
So Vicky, did you mention once before that we had a prepayment of fags or some other grant?
Yes.
And that's incorporated, it has to go in our revenue, doesn't it?
That one will, yes, because it's a grant that's not set for a particular purpose. So it will become part of our income. It's actually not in there because that wasn't received till the 31st of March.
Okay.
So it's
put in here, right?
Yes. We will, generally we do show it as a restricted asset, grants in advance. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any questions of Vicky, please? Or comments? I think the attachment and the explanation tells us what we need to know, Vicky. We'd like to move before, please. Move Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Black. I'll put the recommendation, which will state that the quarterly budget review report March 2022 be noted and variances to the budgets as outlined in the attachment be approved. Put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 9, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, this report deals with the NAIDOC Week Initiatives contributions, local school initiatives program. Recommendation recommends the council contribute $450 to the NAIDOC Week 2022 School Initiatives program from the Section 554 Councillor Term Donations budget.
Okay. Okay. Somebody move. Councillor Black, you move, please. Second, Councillor Turthey. Any comments or questions for Gary regarding the funding? Councillor Bryce.
Gary, did we actually see the product before it's...
Yeah.
Yes. Because I think if it's a valuable tool, that it should be sent to the sporting organisations as well as just the education.
I just want to ask, I wonder if they say it's a school initiative, a school initiative of a particular town, or it goes across all the schools?
Says it's Gordon.
I have to take that notice. That question on notice, sorry. I assume it would be all.
It says and entry forms to schools across council's LGA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You're happy with that, Councillor Turpin? Yes?
Oh, yeah, then, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There being no further questions or issues, the recommendation will read that council contribute $450 to the NAIDOC Week 2022 School Initiatives Program from the section 554 Councillor Determined Donations Budget. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 10, please. The minutes of the Traffic Committee meeting. Is this just for notation or?
It is for information.
For information.
The local traffic committee had a meeting on the 12th of April to conduct a meeting for the temporary road closure and detour of the Mother's Day market day on the 8th of May.
So that was the only
Meeting we had.
and it's the only thing discussed?
Correct.
Okay. So we'd like to move that these minutes are for notation. For information, moved Councillor Churgwin, seconded Councillor Murphy. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 11, please.
That was from my delegation to the Western Regional Library, which was my first meeting. We held in Jerilderie and a good attendance. I was a bit green, so I'm not really too sure, but I think it was a good meeting, chaired at the last minute by Tracy Lewis from Narandra. Any questions? I try and answer.
Councillor Major.
Just in the minutes, it says Murrumbidgee questioned their contribution to the mobile library. So can you give us some background to that questioning, and has there been any outcomes since?
I actually don't know the history. I think Vicky would know the history of how that's worked out for our quota.
As I understand, we have a 50% share of one of the mobile buses with Griffith City Library. As I understand also, and this is not my area of expertise, so sorry, the mobile library visits one day a week in
Both towns.
Collingwood and Darlington Point.
Yep. So that is their library access.
That's our library access. It goes to the
So were we questioning how much we were paying, or?
I believe so, yeah.
The 50% contribution is fair.
Yeah.
And equitable for that particular vehicle.
And the discussions haven't been held yet, I'm guessing.
Can we take that on notice, Vicky, and do a bit of information searching that can come back to the next meeting? Okay. Yeah, is that Councillor Major? Yep. Okay. Anything else, Councillor Ross, you wanted to bring to our attention? No? Okay. I will, somebody like to move, please, that these minutes be moved Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Major, that these minutes be provided for information. Thank you very much. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 12, please.
Mr. George's Tidy Town's April meeting. Our first meeting we actually have held indoors since COVID started. Members have relaxed a little bit, perhaps prematurely. Most of our work through the month has been, we have now had 6 working bees out at the cemetery cleaning roses and have now completed that activity. And have had no applications as to other working bees from other areas. So we will just continue with our inter-town working bees once a month. We had a send-off for 2 members, the Millses, last Friday night. And we are very quickly running out of volunteers, unfortunately. I don't have any other actions at the moment.
Okay. So moved, councillor Bryce, seconded councillor Bergwin, that these Murrumbidgee Charter Town minutes be accepted for information. Thank you. Item 13, please.
Councillors, I submit the monthly cash and investment report for your consideration, showing an amount of $29,690,000 being held at the end of April. That is inclusive of the prepayment of the financial assistance grant. I will note that there is a small increase in the average interest rates, which is hardly significant. But, yeah, I will take any questions on that.
Councillor Major.
Just on that, interest rates, there's three investments are significantly lower than everything else, being ANZ, Les Wallace, NAB and Suncorp Metway 0.05. They're due for maturity. What's our action?
Well, we'll review the interest rates at the time. Certainly the Les Wallace one is such a small amount, and I don't hold those ones myself, but probably would roll that one because of the small amount and because it's just an individual one. The others we certainly look at what's on offer at any given time, at that time, and see what the best options are for council. I will say that we don't go long term. On the odd occasion we might go out to 6 months, but that's not the general. Anything beyond that usually sits. Most of our investments are 30 to 150 days perhaps, so that we've always got cash available as necessary.
Any further comments? Somebody like to move? Councillor Kirky, second Councillor Bryce. And the recommendation will be rolled on the motion of Councillors Kirky and Bryce that Council made the monthly cash and investment report containing the bank balances and the schedule of investments as at the 30th of April 2022. With recommendation, those in favour please say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 14 please.
Recommended. This is a summary of the development applications approved during April 2022.
It's pretty self-explanatory. Somebody like to move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Gilbert. Any questions of Gary, please? No, I'll put the recommendation, which will read the information contained in the development application approved under delegation as at April 2022 be noted. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Would somebody like to move that we move into confidential items, please? Move Councillor Churgwin, secondly Councillor Bryce. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. Thank you.
I wrote notice.
It's a weird plan.
We are up to item number 15, purchase of the 3 Toro 4-wheel drive mowers. Resolved on the motion of Councillors Black and Major that 1, Council endorse a recommendation of the tender evaluation team and accept the tender from Toro Australia for purchase of 3 Toro Grounds Masters mowers 4010-D 4-wheel drive mowers for $116,321.88 each, GST inclusive, a total of $348,965.64 GST exclusive. Tender reference BP 301859. And 2, contract documents and any other associated documents be executed on behalf of the Council in accordance with Clause 165 of the Local Government Regulation by the General Manager, Director of Infrastructure as the Principal's representative. Carried. Item 16, the additional funding for the Ben Coven Avenue Colleen Embley SC 176. Resolved on the motion of Councillors Black and Gilbert that the surface for the Ben Coven Avenue Colleen Embley be a bitumen 2-coat steel as per the original design. Carried. Item 17, sale of council land in Colleen Embley SC 888. Resolved on the motion of Councillors Curfew and Chirkman that 1, evaluation of lots 503, 504 and 505 DP 1003200 Kestrel Road, Colleen Embley be obtained. 2, the General Manager be delegated authority to enter into negotiations with the applicant for the sale of these lots, with the final terms and conditions to be determined and agreed to by the General Manager. And 3, costs associated with the connections to utility reticulation systems to be borne by the purchaser, noting services are not situated at the property boundary. Carried. And 4, part 4, the common seal of council be affixed to all documents associated with the sale of these lots. Now carried. Item 18, the community grants program. Resolved on the motion of Councillors Curfew and Major that funding recipients under the 2021/22 community grants program be as detailed below. Colleen Embley Cricket Club, $1,950 for chairs for Colleen Embley Sports Club rooms. 2, Colleen Embley Darlington Point Junior Rugby League, $2,000 for a defibrillator. 3, Colleen Embley Play Group, $600 inclusive play activity resources. 4, Colleen Embley Preschool Association Incorporated, $2,000 to replace the lighting in the preschool building. 5, the Colleen Embley Rescue Squad, $1,952.50 for the multi-trauma dummy. 6, the Colleen Embley Town Life, $660 for the raised garden beds. 7, Darlington Point Public School P&C Association, $1,500 intensive swimming program. 8, Jewellery Tidy Towns, $2,000 Christmas lights and decorations. 9, Jewellery Swimming Club Incorporated, $2,000 for pool equipment and clothing. 10, St Joseph's Parents and Friends Association, $2,000 for outdoor learning area. And 11, the Waddy Housing and Advancement Corporation Limited, $2,000 for signage for the gallery, artefacts and contribution to the Elders Honour Board. Carried. Item 19, the Colleen Embley Solar Farm Fund. Resolved on the motion of Councillors Curfew and Chirkman that funding recipients under the 2021/22 Colleen Embley Solar Farm Community Fund be as detailed below. 1, the Colleen Embley Darlington Point Junior Rugby League Club, $1,370 for drink bottles and crates. 2, the Colleen Embley Rescue Squad, $3,000 for equipment for emergency response boat. 3, Colleen Embley Town Life, $660 for the raised garden beds. 4, Cypress View Lodge, $2,017 for a king single sofa bed. 5, Murrumbidgee Physical Culture Club, $1,953 for iPads and a speaker. And 6, the Waddy Housing and Advancement Corporation Limited, $1,000 for solar lighting for the mural. Carried. Item 20, student scholarships. Councillor Major declared his pecuniary interest in this item and departed the building. Resolved on the motion of Councillors Curfew and Gilbert that the Murrumbidgee Council student scholarships for 2022 be awarded to Carissa Bellato, Riley Belling, Austin Major, Alex Avard, Thomas Gill, Danielle Mannis and Phoebe White, with the scholarships being funded from the scholarship program of $3,000 and the community grants of $1,338 and Section 555 councillor determined donations of $2,662. Yes, Councillor Major returned to the meeting.
Must have been the carrier, that's all.
Yeah, carried. There being no further business, the meeting closed at 4:25. Thank you, everybody.